whole other. Want to make sure I have the chat readily available in case somebody in the digital training room has questions. So today what I'm going to do is do a quick rundown of 8 strategies to help you grow your business this year. So some of you that are consulting with me, some of this might seem a little repetitive, but I am going to go over a different tool today that I personally have been testing. Where's Caleb? We need an eraser. That I personally have been testing before I wanted to share it with everybody, because I don't like telling you about tools unless I know that they've worked themselves. So the first step to growing your business is to start with a clean database. You got to make sure you have phone numbers, addresses, home anniversaries, birthdays in your contacts. Here's what I don't want you to do. I don't want you to not lead generate until you have a clean database. So even though I'm saying it's step 1, I don't want you to be frozen because you feel like you have to get your database in order. I think this is something you can do as you go, which leads me to step 2, which is quarterly calls, text messages, or video messages. So as you are calling your database quarterly, which if you've taken any of our other trainings, we have a quarterly smart plan that you can put your people on so that way Command tells you who you need to be in touch with that day to make sure you touch everyone in your database within a quarter. With that being said, don't worry if you don't have their phone number, put them on the quarterly call plan. When you get to that day and they show up on April 17th for you to call, you can take a couple minutes and go research. I personally pay for a subscription with White Pages. It's about $60, I think, for the year. You probably will only need it in year 1 as you're working to clean up that database. And as you do this, you're going to get really good at making sure you get other people's contact information. But White Pages typically has not only their public phone number, which it can be cell phones, and it will also have their public address. Most of the time that address works. Another place where you can look for addresses is Bright MLS under public records. But some people get savvy, and especially investors, they buy under LLCs, and then you can't find it in public records, but White Pages will typically have it. So as you're making those quarterly phone calls, part of your script should just be, hey, I just want to make sure I have the most recent contact information for you. So that way, as I send you things, I know I have the right email. Is this the best phone number that I called you on today? You know, hey, can I just make sure I have your birthday? I like to send folks, you know, a birthday card or a quick birthday text. Make sure you get all that info when you actually make contact. So if you have a day where you have some extra time to maybe stalk them on Facebook, that's something I do. When you see birthdays come up in Facebook, not only do I make sure I say happy birthday, I'm gonna actually go in my database and make sure I have their birthday in there, because we have a birthday smart plan that you can put them on as well. But you can kind of do things like that to clean up your database. Your database is your data bank. Who here wants to work forever until they die? No one. I'm not shocked. If you want to be able to get out of this business, one of your options is building a 7th level team like Dave Hook, where he is removed from the team. He has somebody else running it for him. The other option, and something that Dave Hook might still do down the road, who knows, but is to sell your business, your database. That's what is of value to us as a real estate agent. So if I want to be able to sell my database to somebody who wants to grow their database down the road, it's only worth the information that I have in it. So if I have 100 names in my database, but there's no phone numbers and addresses, they're not going to pay me squat for it. But if I have 500 names with addresses, phone numbers. They've been consistently on smart plans, so they know that it's been touched and it hasn't been sitting there rotting away for 5 years. It's worth more. And typically you can charge like a referral fee plus a price per lead. So there's a lot of money that could be had in your database. So calling them quarterly. We all know that in today's world, not everybody responds to calls, so you can also text them. So when you put them on a quarterly call plan, you just have to decide what's the best method to communicate with this person. Is it a call? Is it a text? And what's really been working right now is video messages. So I'm going to tell you 2 platforms. BombBomb, that's like the luxury video messaging application. And then a free version for those of us on a budget, me included, is Hippo. So Hippo can do about 80% of what BombBomb does for free. BombBomb again is like that luxury level, so it can do a little bit more for you. So if you're at that level, check them both out. But one thing that I will do is I will send video messages, not only as text messages to check in, I do it throughout transactions. So we're going to remove from the class for a second, just pro tip. Whenever my buyers went through the inspection process and we got the inspection report, I didn't just call them and load on them all the red ink that was in the inspection report. What I did was I would attach the inspection report to an email and then embed in that email a BombBomb video. And that video would say, hey, it's Brittany. I wanted to be able to send this to you so you have time to review when it's convenient for you. I've attached here a copy of your inspection report. I want to highlight some of the things that I found in the report. I would name some good things. Looks like the HVAC system's in great shape. We kind of anticipated that because it did look newer through our walkthrough. I do want to point out though, and we can definitely talk about this more when you have time, but he did make some notes about the roof. I'm available between the hours of 3 and 5. If you have time during them, give me a call and I'll walk you through the rest of the report and any questions that you may have. This did 2 things. 1, I was able to touch them when it was convenient for my schedule. 2 is it allows them to digest the home inspection report, have time to breathe, feel all the emotions they may or may not have, and then they can come up with their questions. You can schedule a time that makes sense for the both of you to chat, hopefully in your business hours, which saves you from evening phone calls. So side note from there. So 1 is clean your database. 2 is quarterly calls, text, and BombBombs. The third thing is objection handler marketing. So in Drew's class, we brought up objections. So what are some objections that your buyers and sellers may have right now?
Interest rates.
Interest rates, that's a great one. So you may have a seller who's afraid to sell their home because they're gonna have to increase their interest rate on their next purchase. So an example of an objection handler marketing would be to do a video about that, right? So speak to the fears your buyers and sellers have in your video marketing. Another great option would be to send postcards. How many here have seen the just sold postcards? We see them all the time for the just sold Facebook posts. I gotta be honest with you, those don't work. All the likes that you get on those are from other real estate agents because we like to cheer each other on, which is great. It's a great culture that we've built amongst each other, but it's not going to get you more clients. But if you have a postcard that goes out that says looking to downsize but afraid of the interest rates, I've helped 5 sellers in the last 6 months be able to make more money on their home that they were selling to help them buy down their interest rate. Give me a call. I'd love to discuss. Do you think that postcard might get you some phone calls versus the, hey, just sold, right? It helps you stand out as the expert. The next one, step number 4, is to send 2 emails a month to your database. You want one that's a seller-oriented message And you want the second one a month to be a buyer-oriented message. So I have my contact card up here from Command, and you'll see here that I have a buyer tag on this client. It's my husband. He's my test client, full disclosure. He is a homeowner, but I have him tagged as a buyer because his next deal with me is gonna be him buying a home. Now, I would normally also have a seller tag, but I have that missing, so I'll have to look into that. But I would normally also have a seller tag on him because he would also be a seller. So once a month, I would sort my tags by seller, and all my seller tags are gonna get that seller message. Then the other message, I'm gonna filter by buyer, and they're all gonna get my buyer message. And this way you're not spamming your first-time home buyers with seller-oriented messages, right? Because if they start to get too much stuff that's not applicable, they're gonna unsubscribe. A free tool that's helpful for sellers is called the Monthly Neighborhood Nurture Smart Plan. So you can see here I have several neighborhoods listed. So this means once a month around the 20th of the month, because I have him on a monthly neighborhood nurture, he's gonna get an automatic email that pulls information directly on these micro neighborhoods. So he's not getting a snapshot of all of Carlisle. He's getting this rural area of Carlisle, what homes have sold recently, what's the average price per square foot, how long are they on days of market. It gives them some Yelp information, so like reviews on restaurants that are nearby, so really helpful tools. Sometimes I'll put buyers on these if I know they're looking in specific areas, okay, to help educate them on the market. A tool I want to show you though, that I have been experimenting with is called HomeBot. Now this costs $25 a month, so I give you your free option, which was the monthly neighborhood nurture. My luxury option is called HomeBot. HomeBot takes a little bit more time to set up. When you sign up, they're gonna ask you for a CSV of your database, which you can easily do in Command. I'll show you that in a minute. You'll email it to them, and then they are gonna upload it for you. So it does take some of that work out. Once I send it to them, it starts sending my clients who have an address an email. And in that email, it gives them, for lack of a better phrase, basically a Zestimate. Based on AI information, we believe your home is worth $350,000. If you want a more detailed CMA of your home to get a more accurate value, click here. And they will click it, and then I get an email notification for a CMA request. I've already have one home listed right now from HomeBot. I've only been paying for this for a couple months. So $25 a month, let's say I've had it for 3 months, that's $75. The referral check that I'm gonna get on this is probably over $1,000 because I referred it out to an agent that's out in Sunbury. $75 for $1,000, I'll take that all day. The other cool thing is I get these emails from, now these are people that have not said, hey, I want a CMA, but it's letting me know if they're looking. So these people have been logging in. They've been checking out their home value. There's some other articles there and stuff for them that they can read. And I can actually click this view activity feed and it's gonna let me know. And I just have to do this little login thing, everything that they're looking at. Now, the cool feature is you can partner with a lender for this. And your lender can help you pay for it. And so then you and your lender get the emails and they can see all the people who are most likely to refinance based on whatever ingredients the AI is looking at. So you're getting, oh, go ahead.
So do you have an example of what the recipient is receiving, what it looks like? Do they need to sign up? Does it look like spam coming across when they get the emails?
So I think that's a great question. Whenever I first set it up, it sent them an email that said like, hey, opt in for this, you'll get a free value estimate on your home once a month. Most of my people have opted in. In full transparency, I would not recommend doing how I did it. I would be calling, making those quarterly calls and asking them, hey, I have this great new tool. It will actually send you your home's value, a close guesstimate on what it's worth once a month. And then whenever you're ready to do your yearly check-in, I can come in, do a CMA for you for free to give you a much closer value, but this will at least give you kind of bird's eye view of the value of your home because it's an asset and it's always helpful to understand the value of your assets to track your net worth. I would do that conversation, let them opt in and then say, okay, great. You're going to receive an invitation from me from a program called HomeBot. I didn't do that. I just was like, I'm just testing this out. And I just sent them my CSV of everybody. So my database had no clue it was coming and most have opted in. So, but one thing here, like I can see my most active people. It says here, they viewed their home's market. I can see here, I've sent out to 152 people. Out of that 152, 98 have opened it. So they're at least looking at the email. And then 25 have gone deeper into that email. I'll click on Peter. You can tell that Peter is really intrigued. And you can see that he's been opening. He's viewing it pretty often. I think I get an email about him once a month that he's been viewing it. So probably a good idea for me to find an excuse to just reach out to him. And it could just be, hey, Peter, haven't talked to you in a while. Just wanted to see how you were doing. How's the family? How's the job? I know last you moved here was because you had a job relocation. Is that new job going well for you? How are the kids doing? I know that your daughter was looking for piano lessons whenever you moved here. Did she ever find a good instructor? Like just have the forward conversation. And then at the end, just be like, how have you made any changes to the home? Have you done any upgrades? I remember you and the wife mentioned you wanted to redo the kitchen. That was like her one ask. If we bought this house, you promised her you'd redo the kitchen. Did you get around to it? Yeah, we redid the kitchen. Awesome. Would you like me to come over and do an updated CMA for you, just so you know what your home's worth since you've redone that kitchen? And some of these conversations may not always lead to listings, but you'd be surprised how providing that value when people's eyes are open to how much equity they have in their home, they might be more motivated to sell. You don't know, maybe they've been thinking about becoming snowbirds, right? Or just moving permanently to Florida. Or could they use that equity in their home to help them invest? Have you ever thought about investing in real estate to help you build your retirement plan? So just all helpful information for you to have a better idea of who to call, right? Because oftentimes we get stuck on, well, who am I gonna call? Or you run out of people on your quarterly call plan. Now you have an excuse to be in touch with Peter a little bit more often because you have all this information on him. And I did try to search because I find myself up, but my search wouldn't find it. Actually, hold on. Let me change emails because I don't think I have it coming to this one. Let me try quick. So this is what it looks like. Your new home value estimate is ready. My branding is up top. It's letting me know this is the estimated value of my home. Letting me know, hey, this is what your loan terms are, my interest rate. That does look right. So it's saying probably not the best idea for me to refinance. Putting me here what my net worth is with what my home is worth, less my current balance on my mortgage. What I've paid so far, that looks right. I look at my statements every month and this is pretty spot on, which is kind of creepy. But just remember, it is all public record, right? Your mortgage is public record. So it actually isn't that creepy. It's giving me a tip here. If I just pay an extra $100 a month, I could save $15,500 over the life of my loan. And it gives me a drop down option so I could like play with it. If I just paid an extra $500 a month, I could save almost $50 million over the life of my loan. That's kind of insane. And I have a good interest rate. I bought right before they jumped. So here it's saying, you know, would a refi save me? And obviously, no. And then it's asking me these questions. If you bought another home, how much could you afford? If I rented on Airbnb, how much do I think I could earn? So it's already kind of putting me in the mindset of investing. And then it says here, can you help me learn more? So there's many buttons in here for them to say, hey, I want you to call me. And then here it says share HomeBot. Know someone who could use a HomeBot report like this. And when you share it, it's going to be branded to you. So I think that's pretty in-depth. It is more in-depth than the neighborhood nurture. Again, I think the neighborhood nurture, I've gotten referral deals off of that. It is a free tool. If you're ready to take it up another notch, you have this, I call it like the luxury option that gives you a few more value items to provide. Who here feels like they haven't called their database in a while? Or there's definitely people in their database that they haven't touched base with. Do you think if you were calling them to offer this, it would make you feel more comfortable to call them? Maybe. Yeah.
Like begging for their business and more like offering help with them.
Right. How about you, Mike?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good, reason to call without selling, trying to sell them something.
Right, and that, we don't always have events to provide, but in between the events that we can invite them to, I think this was a cool option. And like I said, I personally like to test out things before I tell you all to try them. And I've been getting a couple of the CMA request emails. Some, it was just out of curiosity. But the fact that I was able to have a conversation with them and I was able to do the CMA because I've been in their home based off of the information they provided, it didn't take me much time. And now I'm back up there as top of mind. So if they're going to decide to sell in a year or two, I feel more confident that they're still going to call me, especially in my situation, because I'm not actively buying and selling like everybody in this room is. Number 5. So far, 1 is clean database. 2 is quarterly calls, text, bombs. 3 is objection handler marketing. 4 was 2 emails a month, 1 being seller specific, 1 being buyer specific. The more video you can do with these, the better. Number 5 is to do 2 events per year. These are large scale events per year. So plugging into our fall blast, right, in the fall. You just have to buy the tickets and invite the people. We do all the planning for you. One really successful thing that I've been seeing, like in the spring, summer, are ice cream trucks. You invite your clients to a neighborhood that's having an ice cream truck. You could have it come to your neighborhood if you live in a good area. I've seen some where they have the ice cream truck come to a park. Because if I did that in my neighborhood, I'd get like 5 people. So have an ice cream truck come to the park and your clients can come and you'll just pay for all their ice cream. So it doesn't have to be like a wedding, right? It can be something really simple that you're just paying for your people to get a quick treat. The purpose of the event is the phone calls you're making around it. It gives you an excuse to call them, text them, send them a video message. You're going to call and text them multiple times. So call one, can you come? Yes, cool, I'm gonna mark you down. Then about a week before the event, you're gonna call them again. Hey, just wanted to remind you, wanted to confirm you can still make it. Then after the event, you're gonna call them again. Hey, how did you like the event? Thank you so much for coming. I love seeing you there. And then the best part is if they show up, and it's okay if they don't, think about how many times you just touched them around this event. But if they do show up, you get to get FaceTime with them and have a more personal interaction. As Julie Hess says, you get to get belly to belly with them, which helps you build that relationship. So 2 events per year. Number 6 is door knocking. Who here door knocks? Jeez. You door knock too? Look at you go. So door knocking is back. I say it's back because it kind of died off for a while, but people are more receptive to getting door hangers. Don't put mail in the mailbox. Did you know that's illegal? Yeah, don't do that. And I learned afterwards. So don't do that. You might have to get a permit for door knocking. Make sure you're using objection handler marketing. So in item number 3. And did you know you can leverage door knocking? High schoolers, they have all summer. They're bored. They need to make a quick buck. It's okay if you don't get the face-to-face time. Pay a high schooler to hang door hangers that have objection handler marketing on a door. Say, hey, if you do this neighborhood, I'll give you $100. You don't have to die in the heat. You don't have to be like Dave Hook on rollerblades to get more done in a shorter amount of time. And yet your marketing is getting out there. So my coach does this. He normally, because he consistently does the door hangers in certain neighborhoods a couple times a year, he normally gets at least 1 deal now per door hanger. But you want to make sure you're using the objection handler marketing. He pays some teenager $100 to go hang them up for him so that way he doesn't have to do it. And now you know that they're getting that marketing. Sometimes when you do postcards, I'm not saying postcards are a bad idea, but postcards can get lost in all the junk mail. So door knocking. Number 7, who here came to Julie Hess's open house class? Just a couple. It is recorded. It is on the training library. In command, if you go to connect, I'll show you. See this like connect tab in the middle? This is like a whole nother training library for you, but if I type in open houses. Actually, let me do open house playbook. This open house playbook opens up and gives you a step-by-step guide on how to run an effective open house. Here's the deal. Hosting an open house, putting a plate of cookies out with some balloons is not going to get you more business. You have to do it the right way. There has to be good marketing leading up to your open house. You need to put it on Facebook. You need to make sure it's listed in bright because that open house feature actually feeds to the public facing websites. Door knocking around the neighborhood, inviting the neighbors. Hey, do you have a friend? Do you want the opportunity to pick your neighbor? Come to my open house Thursday night from 5 to 7. Julie Hess's secret sauce is she does not allow any showings until the open house ends. So the first opportunity to see and show the house is the open house. How many times do you see agents canceling open houses because they accepted an offer? All the time. What they don't realize is they're losing out on a huge lead generation opportunity for themselves. So when the open house is done right, you get a good amount of people coming in, making sure they're signing in, asking them, hey, have you looked at other properties? Nope, this is our first one. We just started looking. We've been playing around with the idea of buying. Gold. That is now your buyer. Oh, we've seen a couple houses. You can dive into that a little bit more to determine, are they committed to that agent? Have they signed anything? or have they just been hitting the show me button on Zillow and they're free game? So that's a great lead generation source for you, is open houses when run effectively. So I've had agents call me, Brittany, you told me to do an open house and nobody showed up. Cool. What marketing did you do? You know, so make sure you're marketing door knocking on your open houses. And then lastly, number 8 is mini social hours. So oftentimes we think of big events and we think of like the ice cream truck, or we think of the pie giveaways, which is a lot of people. We think about the fall blast, which that is a financial investment. I want you to think about your A+ people in your database. They may not even have bought and sold from you, but these are people that are going to refer you business. If you were a band, they are your groupies. Okay, like they are the ones who are going to make sure that they send any real estate business your way. Once a month, invite those A+ people to some type of social hour. And pick something that you have fun with. This is supposed to be fun. Do you like to go bowling? Do you like to go to a Senators game? Invite just a couple of those people, and their ticket in for free is if they bring a guest. And now you get to meet their friends. Jason Vitoff does this. He did one with, it was like an oyster bake, and he invited just a core select of people, his A+, and he got one listing out of it. I think he spent $600 for the oysters, and he got a listing, so probably $6,000 to $7,000. I'd take that deal. I'd trade $600 for $6,000 to $7,000. Wineries. Could you just have them meet you at the winery for a glass of wine? Or maybe the breweries are like all the rage right now. Anybody can think of anything else? What's something fun that you could do?
I
That you
done
could,
the winery and
Yeah.
I paid for the sampling, which
okay,
is like, when I did it, was like $6 or $7 a sample. So I got the ticket, and then I bought a few bottles of wine and put it on the table. It was like a casual thing. And I think I may have spent like $100 out of it. And I got like a few buyers out of that group. And some of these people I never met, but they always tag me on Facebook. So I wanted to like finally meet them, because they would tag me whenever anybody else wanted something to do with real estate. I was like the first referral source. And I couldn't figure out a way to like meet them, to thank them. So I invited a few of them. And now like we're super cool, but I think I spent like $100, if that. Cause it was $6 a ticket and we bought 2 bottles of wine.
that's pretty inexpensive. Anybody else?
I've done a happy hour,
Okay,
and I don't know how much I spent. I feel like maybe $200. Like, it wasn't that bad, just casual, just pick a place and I'll meet you there and reserve like a couple tables.
I love that. Yeah, simple. You don't have to do all the decorating and the planning, right? It's just texting people maybe a week before. Can you get together Friday if you are getting together? Book clubs. If you're into reading, could you do like a little book club? The whole purpose is just being around more people. Consulting some of our top agents, the ones that are succeeding at a high level, not only do they do a version of these 8 things consistently, but they're constantly around other people. They're going to coffee shops. They're going out to dinner a lot and being able to mingle with people. They're going to winery, like they're not hiding at home behind a computer. They're out. They're going to the park, inviting moms to come in.
And my kids are in sports. They play in different leagues, and at the end of the year, I'll pay for an ice cream truck just to come to a park, like we were saying. And I do it at St. Catherine's also after a track meet. Sometimes I'll just have them, and when it's with the school, if they stay after, the parents have to come pick them up. So it's only for like the car ride, so it gives me a chance to like mingle with the parents. I don't bring up real estate, but I always wear a real estate t-shirt and they bring it up.
Yeah.
So,
that's
cause
a
I don't
good
want
point.
it, I don't want it to seem like that's why I'm doing it. But I always have something to, so they can bring it up.
No, I love that. Always be marketing, right? That's what
And the ice cream truck is also pretty inexpensive.
Not that $60,000 birthday party though.
No, and it was 30.
Right. I wonder if you could have written it off if you just put little marketing. like,
Right,
on
I wrote some stuff off, but no, not everything.
one thing that I did was I rented out a movie theater for my kids. So they all got to invite friends. I greeted the parents as they dropped their kids off. Very brave. It worked out.
They
I
drop their
survived.
kids off?
I let them drop their kids off. It was their choice. And most of them were like, here's my child. Peace out. But I did the same thing. Like I just wore my KW gear. I think it was I picked one of the smaller theaters and my kids got to each invite like 10 of their closest friends. And everybody came. And I did get one deal out of that. So again, and that was like $250, I think. And my kids thought I was pretty awesome after that. So brownie points.
For Christmas, I done the movie theater first, and we had all the kids show up in pajamas. But this was the Colonial Park movie theater, which they just shut down. But at that time, I filled the whole theater for $200.
Yeah, it's
Because
cheap.
it was real cheap. It was morning and and we made it fun. All the kids showed up in their Christmas pajamas, and I wasn't brave like you. The moms stood.
And I took it on.
The moms stood, but the moms had a great time too, and we watched like a Christmas movie. And although I couldn't bring in snacks, when they left, they got like fresh warm chocolate chip cookies. Yeah, and that was like something really inexpensive. I don't remember the exact amount, but it was like $250. And it was like 25 families.
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
No.
So it can be really inexpensive when you think about it. One bonus tip, and I'm gonna tell you this just because I'm seeing it more and more. So there's less inventory. Okay, less inventory, there's still 2,000 agents in GHAR's membership. You're gonna be competing a lot more for listings, for buyers, and it all comes down to relationship building. And in today's world, your branding has really become important. So the higher the level of trust that's needed for the service, the more your branding is important to the client. Okay? There's a lot of studies around this, and people feel like they're getting connected through people through their social medias, especially through video. And I know for some of you, you want me to wash my mouth out with soap. You're like, I don't want to hear about this video marketing. I don't like doing it either. I'm very vulnerable. I hate doing videos with myself. But you will notice, and I'm forcing myself to do it more and more, right? Because I'm not going to tell you all to do something that I'm not going to do myself. So I want you to think about your ideal client. Who are you typically going to serve? Now, you are likely going to serve other people, but to get really good at your objection handler marketing and to get really good at video, I need you to be addressing one person. So your assignment from today, other than to hopefully start doing some of these 8 things, is to think about your client avatar. How old are they? What occupation are they in? How much money do they typically make? Give it a range. Are they married? Do they have kids? Now remember, this isn't you doing anything, fair housing related. This is you just figuring out who are you speaking to when you do a video? Whose questions are you answering? Because when you get really focused on who that ideal client is, it's gonna help you understand what are their fears. It's gonna help you understand what questions would they have. And it doesn't always have to be about buying and selling, right? Maybe the question they have is, if it's a mom, if your ideal client's a mom who lives in the South Middleton School District, who's in between ages of 30 and 40, and her kids are between ages of 5 and 10, she might wonder, when is the splash pad opening back up, right? Those are things that you can address. When you get hyper-focused, you'll know what your ideal client's interests are. I do a lot of book posts because a lot of my clients, my ideal clients read, right? So that's why I do those book posts. I'm speaking to an interest that I think they're gonna have. So get hyper-focused on what they need, what they want, what their fears are, who they are. I want you to name it. So maybe, I haven't come up with a name for mine yet, but you'll hear me constantly just say Jane Doe. So for now, when I'm about to do a video, in my mind, I'm like, all right, I'm speaking to Jane Doe. And that's where your audience will start to connect with you. Have you ever been to church and you're like, oh my gosh, the pastor is totally talking about me right now? It's because that pastor is going into that speech very intentional about who he's speaking to. And then you feel it. And that connection makes all these other 8 steps that we talked about today. It's going to help you convert them at a higher level because they already feel connected with you. So as much as we don't want to admit we have to do video, social media marketing via video, in today's age, when we are constantly being touched by advertisements, calling your database 4 times a year is no longer going to be enough. It used to be, but that's why we have to do the events, because we have to provide value, something that's memorable. That's why we have to be doing the objection handler marketing. And that's why we have to be doing video and constantly staying in touch with our people, because if we're only calling them 4 times a year, in between the next 3 months, in between phone calls, they might see Mike Braddock's video and they might start to build a relationship with Mike Braddock because his content's really compelling and it's speaking to them. And they're like, man, I like Brittany, but like this Mike guy, like I feel connected to him. And then when they go to buy or sell, they might call Mike, even though Mike's never talked to them ever. But because now through social media, they've gotten to know Mike and now they like, know, and trust him over me, even though I've been calling them 4 times a year.
It's back at the top of mind too.
It really does.
So back to that home bot.
Yeah,
You're sending them a CSV with addresses and emails. Those are the relevant ingredients they need to be able to reach out to your database, correct? But your database is constantly evolving, expanding. So are you updating the CSV file to HomeBot on a regular basis to reflect the changes?
yep, I can send them an updated CSV at any time. They'll upload. And then if it's just like a one-off here and there, like if you're I'm trying to find where it was. You can actually just click manage and you can add one at a time if you wanted to. So if you were really on top of your database, or maybe if you had a VA, every time you add something to your command, you can say, hey, add the home bot, and they can just add one at a time, but you can send them an updated CSV.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I gotta head up, but thanks, Brittany. Good stuff.
No worries. Thank you so much for coming. Does anybody else have any other questions? My goal was to get you out of here in 45 minutes. We have 1 minute. Everybody done for the day? Yes.
So I have birthday parties for my kids. How can I advertise myself without like wearing a shirt?
We're going to share, I'll take you to them, so my kids stuff. I personalize water bottles and chip bags, and when I write and say, hey, these were left over from a good yeah, I also have like houses to have hours.
Nice, I just.
Yes.